Couture.
Great.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, what's up? Big one here.
Yep.
Big one.
It's like Steven's October Sky.
Yeah, right. I've got my Owala ready to go. Have you seen these?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we have
Every,
one of
ev-
those.
everybody's got these now.
Yep.
It's funny. I saw one, I don't know, 6 months ago,
Uh-huh.
and then now they're everywhere.
hmm
It's like they took over.
People love their water bottles.
I
Just
know.
like it's how
Yep.
it works.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
Let's do it. All right, here we go.
Oh, wait, shoot. I need to bring up my
Oh, no
cold
problem.
open. A massive document right now, so I have to scroll so far down.
Oh,
There we go. 40 pages. Here we go.
wow. Of one sheets or of
Of cold opens. Yeah.
cold opens. That is cool, dude.
I should just give our Patreons access to that.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, click. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap.
For years, the Two Gomers have been developing, defining, and refining their Christmas movie taxonomy. Level 1 means the movie's about Christmas. Level 2 happens on Christmas. Level 3 has at least one Christmas scene in it. Level 4 is a movie that came out near or on Christmas. Level 5 is a movie that just happened to be on TV one time when Anthony was home for Christmas, and so on. Point is, we love our classification systems. So when a movie comes up on the show that has a system like that in its actual title, you know I'm going to use that for the cold open. The taxonomy of alien encounters is as follows. The first kind is when you see a UFO. The second is when you have physical evidence to prove the existence of an alien. The third is when you have actual physical contact with an alien or alien craft. The fourth is alien abduction. And the fifth is when Anthony just happens to look outside his window on Christmas and see an alien walk by. That last one's a joke, unless there's something he hasn't told us. We're the Two Gomers. We're talking close encounters of the third kind, and this is Perfect Movie.
Welcome, everybody. Oh, dang it. Welcome, everybody, to Perfect Movie, a podcast where two regular guys try to save the universe, one great film at a time. This is Anthony speaking, one of those two aforementioned Gomers coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, with my friend Steven, all the way out in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Those tones,
Mm,
we just heard them. We'd
yep,
be remiss not to let people know, if they don't know this, that when Davis was doing our music,
yep,
my one request was, can we get the 5 tones in there?
yes, yes.
And so he wrote our Perfect Movie theme around those 5 notes
Mm.
from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So we're getting a lot done on this ep.
Yep, well, we've done Chariots of Fire, which the other music is based on
That's
from
right. Wait, which
from
was
Two
first?
Gomers.
He did Perfect Movie theme first, right?
Yeah, he did this first because we were launching this during. No, we had started this before COVID, but we were doing like a full, like rebrand, and we were
Yes, you're right.
leveling up the quality of the podcasts and the mics, thanks to
Yep.
Kevin
Mm-hmm.
and many others. And so then we were like, well, let's get music. And remember,
Yep.
I did those. I did some tracking on the bassoon
Mm-hmm.
for Davis. In
Yep.
exchange, we
That's
got
right.
this theme.
Yeah, you're right. This was the first, I mean, Perfect Movie was our, like, maybe this is our podcast now. Remember that?
Right. Yeah. Like, are we heading this direction? Like, this is going to be the Two Gomers podcast.
Right. We're stepping away from health. Forget that
Yeah.
crap. We just want to talk about movies.
Yeah.
That is kind of what we felt like. And so I think we were like, if we're gonna do that, if we're gonna relaunch something like this, we need some professional music, and that's where David Davis came in.
Yep.
Um,
Totally.
and we went back and forth on what do we want it to sound like. We knew we wanted it to sound epic.
Yep.
and cinematic.
Yep.
And I remember saying, is there any way? Is
Yep.
there any way we could get those 5 notes in?
Totally.
Mm,
Yeah, we said we wanted it to be like a movie score.
right.
And that's top favorite movie themes ever. We're going to talk about the construction of that theme, probably we'll get to on this podcast.
Yep. I think if we didn't talk about the 5 notes, that would be a mistake. Uh, um, we will definitely get to that. I just want people to know coming in, we've talked about Close Encounters, probably not as much as we've talked about other movies
Right.
over the past 15 years. But I just wanted to let people know that maybe of any movie we've ever done, this one has deepest nostalgia for me.
Mm.
I don't even know if people have seen this movie. Have people seen this
Yeah.
movie is a question I have.
Right. I feel like there, everybody has their favorite Steven Spielberg movie
Right.
or their, well, they would rank their top 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, like, so there's that. Then there's just movies in general.
Yep.
And this one is of Spielberg's movies, always makes those like top lists,
Right.
of his best movies. Is
Mm.
it his most beloved or is it people's favorite? And probably not as often as it's what many people consider to be his best or one of his,
Hmm.
like when he kind of flexed his muscle as a not art film, because this is still blockbuster, but it's
Right.
much more uh intimate and introspective than its exact counterpart that came out the same year by his best friend George Lucas,
Right.
Star Wars, which is
Yes.
also crazy to think that John Williams wrote those 5 notes, then wrote Star Wars, then came back to score this,
Well,
all in the same year.
right, the scores he's doing for Spielberg are either 2 notes or 5 notes at this point,
Right,
right? He's
right, yep,
he's at least he's gone up from the 2 notes in Jaws to
right.
5 in this movie. And then he
Well,
does Star Wars where he's doing what is it? We've talked about like 18 leitmotifs or whatever
yeah,
in
oh
that
yeah,
movie.
and counting, right?
Right,
Um,
exactly.
well, I was just listening. I mean, dude, we always recommend other podcasts, and
Mm.
as if they need our recommendation. But I've had the John Williams Smartless episode in
Oh.
my feed.
Mm.
I couldn't listen to it. It was the Halloween candy of all Halloween candy
I can't
for
imagine.
me.
Yeah.
I couldn't like so many people have texted me, DM'd me,
I'm
Erin
sure.
multiple times because she loves that podcast.
Right.
Was like, listen to that, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
I can't. Remember, I got the notification. I screenshot it and sent it to our dudes thread immediately. Like, dudes. Uh, but I listened to it this morning.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow,
because
hot
I
off the
was like,
presses.
I knew I had to because Aaron was like, you have to before Close Encounters because he talks about Close Encounters a lot.
Okay, gotcha.
Uh, and but
Mm.
what he mentioned in that was that among many other things, he wanted, and I had heard this before, but he wanted 7 notes, not 5 notes.
Right. I just
And
watched an
so, and
interview with him, Spielberg, and Colbert,
oh yeah, yeah,
where he mentions that same thing. And they had an argument, right? Where
mm-hmm,
Spielberg was like, 3 is too few,
mm-hmm.
because then it just kind of sounds like a jingle or a down like
Well,
a
so
dial tone
da
or something.
da da or NBC, right? Like
Right,
there's your three.
exactly.
Yep.
Yep, exactly. And 7 sounds too much like a conversation. I don't know if you heard the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he wanted it to be a greeting.
So good.
And it's true. I mean, and that's why when have you seen the Bill Murray sketch where he sings Star Wars? He's a
Yeah.
lounge singer and he sings John Williams songs.
Yep. Yep.
That's why when he sings Close Encounters, it's a whole song. He can't just
Mm-hmm.
start with Close Encounter 1. Then he sings Close Encounter 2. Close Encounters, what I want with you. Like that's a whole song, but the
Yep.
5 notes are just the beginning of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have constant goosebumps throughout this whole episode. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hot right now. I shouldn't have goosebumps,
That
but
rules.
every
That's
time I
awesome.
hear the 5 notes or sing the 5 notes, which I do all the freaking time, or
Yep.
hear it
Yep.
referenced in some other movie,
Yep.
um, it just hits something. Nostalgia Lady,
Yep.
when I was 8, not yet, right? The Nostalgia Lady is not supposed to come out yet, but she was
Yep.
out in full force when I was watching this movie as a
Mm.
child.
Mm.
Can I just tell you one more case in point on that? You've told the story a lot about when you went to see Home Alone,
Yep. Oh, right. Totally.
and you're sitting there with Chad, and you recognize right away that's John Williams,
Yep.
right? I'm sitting probably, I'd say, my guess is I was about 20 rows back from you in the same theater.
Yeah.
And what I thought was, huh, it's the old guy from Close Encounters. So that's how ingrained this movie is with me. Like, I recognize freaking Robert's Blossom
Roberts, not
from
Robert,
Close
Roberts.
Encounters
Yeah,
sooner than I recognize that John Williams wrote the score.
dude, that's incredible. Yeah, I found him in this viewing this time. I
Okay, yeah,
hadn't seen that. And I did the opposite. I was like, it's Old Man Marley, Aaron.
of
She goes,
course. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
that's how most normal people
All right.
would make that realization, right? Because he's kind of talking the same way. He's got like, does he even have teeth? I don't know. He kind of talks in
Yeah.
that like really gummy way.
Yeah.
Um, and he
But with
looks,
black hair or
r-
brown, black, right?
yep, still looks old.
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know. That's just like, I don't know why. One of the questions I have about this movie is why, and I'm not going to be able to answer that. I, as a 8-year-old, I have to open the door for Chewy.
Mm,
Um, 7, 8-year-old
yep.
was so obsessed with this movie.
Mm, yeah. Well, so I was more of a latecomer to this movie.
Okay.
I'm sure I watched it as a kid. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure my dad went to it because my dad would have been 21
Okay.
when this and Star Wars came out. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that he and his friends went to it. What a year to
It's
go
weird,
in
isn't
May
it?
to Star Wars
I
and then in
know.
December to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What a year for movie music. Um, but so I knew those notes ever since I was a kid, also.
Yeah, sure.
And I watched the movie. I resonated with the little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I have pictures in my mind of like, this is important. This means something.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if that's from UHF or this.
Well, it's very parodied, which I
Yep.
guess means that it did have a cultural footprint, right? So if it
Mm-hmm.
shows up in UHF, you know that it meant something,
Uh-huh. Exactly. Well, and it's in SNL. That
right?
means
If
a
it's
lot.
showing up in SNL, the tones themselves show up a lot. The tones, this is a really deep cut, but in Pee-wee's Christmas special, he has a like a little pad that he has to do to get into his toy shelf, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the 5 tones. So it's just my question is, have people seen the movie? So I think that
Yeah.
those tones are part of the uh I don't know. They're in the ether, right?
Yep.
But do people know where they're from? Have people watched this movie? It's a weird movie.
It is. So that's what I was thinking is like as a kid, I think I thought it was really good,
Hmm.
but I think I also probably thought it was somewhat boring, sort of
Yep,
weird.
that's true.
Um I was much like my Spielberg was E.T. And I
Right.
was thinking about this earlier today and I was like, should I say that? Does that make me sound basic and Steven sound intellectual and cool?
Well, this is
But
not this. If I'm going to do my top 10 Spielberg movies, this is not number one.
okay.
I mean, Jurassic Park with a bullet.
Yeah.
That is my Spielberg. I don't
Yeah.
even know if I could have told you that. No, yes, I could have. I could have, of course, told you that this is Steven Spielberg, but like, it's the most important movie to my life, but I don't know if it's the most. I know it's not my favorite movie.
Yeah.
That's different. And so
Yeah.
E.T. is probably above this for me on my Spielberg list.
Well, what I was thinking though is, as a child, you're innocent and you're impressionable,
Yeah.
and uh, you're not putting any thought into what your favorite thing is. It just is. And what I
Right.
was thinking is like as a kid, I was like E.T. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars. Oh yeah,
Right.
and Steven's like, Close Encounters.
What the heck about this movie that is slow, you're right, and sometimes boring.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it plays interestingly now, I think, and it was interesting for my kids to watch when they first watched it when I showed it to them when they were 8.
Uh-huh.
Because I was
Wow.
like, I liked it when I was 8. Um,
Right,
it's
right.
slow, it's a different movie than E.T. or Jurassic Park, right? It doesn't move like those. Now, I
Yeah.
think that is to its great benefit,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get to that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, I wanted to just give folks a heads up that this is like my October Sky.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
and so you've told me this a bunch of times, and I don't know totally why.
right.
And so
Okay.
that's why coming to this session, this is one of my most excited ones in a long time because I'm like we've always wanted to talk about your trip to Devil's Tower.
Yep.
We've always wanted to talk about this movie, and it's always
Hmm.
been save it for the podcast.
Always.
So I'm
Definitely.
super excited to get there. I do have more 5 note chat, but we can save that for later.
Let's do the one sheet and then I'll read
Okay.
the back of the Blu-ray, which I have here in front of me.
Oh man, what version's on there, by the way?
All three.
Mm, wow.
Just let me show you this ridiculousness
This
of
I
this
I I
Blu-ray.
want this. I want
So
this.
they not only have all three, but they have this timeline.
Oh,
Well,
that's
first of all, it's a
cool.
poster on one side. Great poster.
I love that, except for the creases.
I hate
You
the
want you just
creases.
yeah, you just want that poster
But
poster.
look, it's a timeline of the three versions, and so it
Oh,
tells you
that's cool.
what is different in each one.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So I have, you know me,
Hmm.
same thing with the Hook soundtrack that you gave me.
Yeah.
I watch it with it spread out in front of me.
Right.
I've watched this movie so many times in so many ways.
That's
I've
awesome.
watched sections of it. I'll tell you about my favorite segment, and then of course
Mm,
that last 30 minutes. Sometimes if I'm just sad, I will watch that last 30 minutes
mm.
of Close Encounters of the Third Kind because it's just never gets old for me.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay,
Yep.
so we'll have to talk about versions because the last 30 minutes are different,
Mm-hmm.
very
Yep.
different. So I'm curious to your take on that.
Yeah.
But so can you put a pin on that and remember to talk about that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I've got 5 notes. I'm trying to get better. Those Smartless guys, they're so good.
They have a
So I'm trying to
producer
get.
that whispers in their ear.
I
Don't
know
forget to
that's the
talk
thing is
about.
Gomer Nation Patreons that's listening to this in Gomer Nation in a year from now. We
Mm-hmm.
are just us. It's almost 16 years
Ragtag duo
total,
of
which I actually love, but I
Yep,
do
definitely. There's
like
charm in that.
now that podcast, like, I mean, my mom listens to podcasts constantly. People in her like she lives in an apartment or a
Hmm.
complex with a bunch of older people. They
Yeah.
are all listening to podcasts all the time. My
Yep.
dad listens to podcasts. Your parents,
Uh-huh.
the girls have podcasts that they like. Erin has so it's like
Big business.
it's big business. So it's
Yep.
still so when I listen to those, sometimes I'm a little bit jealous, and then I remember, oh, they're big budget.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know. I actually think we're pretty good. Super not humble brag, but I think we're good.
We are good. We hear it from actual people.
Okay. But what I was writing down was be sure to talk about the cutscenes. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Just making a note.
And we may or may not look at that note again.
Oh, well, I've drew Devil's Tower there.
Oh my
5 notes,
gosh, the amount
more
of times
talk.
I've drawn Devil's Tower. We gotta talk about that too.
And we'll have to, I mean, have you ever made it out of mashed potatoes?
Oh, of course.
I mean, like, have you ever had mashed potatoes and not thought about Close
Right, exactly.
Encounters?
When is the last time I ate mashed potatoes and didn't sing the five tones? When's the last time I laid in my bed and looked at my pillow and not thought about it?
Just saw any sort of like hill or like I told you the tree stump
Yep.
out in Sun River. There's
Hmm.
this one that looked exactly like it.
Yep.
It's
I have, yeah. Okay. Let's
okay.
let's do that one sheet.
Okay. So, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you see on that one sheet. I didn't capitalize third. What I knew it was supposed to be, but so I fixed it a little later.
Thank you. Yep, I see that.
Released on December 14th, 1977.
So this is a
Runtime.
Christmas. This
Oh,
is Christmas movie level
there you go.
2. No, it's level 3. No, sorry,
Yep.
level 4. It came out during Christmas.
Came out during
I would
Christmas.
not. I mean, the ship looks Christmassy,
Yeah,
but other than that,
definitely.
you're not getting any Christmas vibes in this movie at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's like summer, it's desert, kind of.
Lots of
It's
desert. Yep. Yeah.
hot,
Yep.
dirty.
Uh-huh.
Like there's no snow. Yeah. But
Right.
still, you could watch it anytime.
Sure.
I wrote runtime 2 hours and 18 minutes, but I know there's three different versions.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours 18, 2 hours 16, and I can't remember what the other one is.
It's not like there's 20 minutes added. The
No.
versions are within minutes of one another, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Budget estimated $20 million. It was a loose remake of Firelight
A movie
by
he had
Stephen.
made before. Yeah.
Yeah, like when he was 17, which had an estimated budget of $400, I think.
Good
Uh,
on him. I love that.
I did watch a clip of it on
Okay.
YouTube
I never
because
have.
I guess a lot of the real, like basically all but 3 minutes were lost because he sent it out as a kid
Oh.
to like
Oh, I didn't know
producers to
that.
see.
Okay.
So it's lost forever.
That sucks.
Just like the worship session me and Calgren did at that practice room at Verona Area High School.
Yeah, just like that.
Uh, so grossed at the box office 135 million US, 306 million worldwide. I mean, if you extrapolate that out to 2024 dollars, I didn't do that, but I mean that's in the billions.
Yeah, I know. So I
I
guess
mean,
people saw it.
yep, people saw it. And let me as we're in that little spot, let me do this little factoid
Uh-huh.
from 15 things you didn't know about this movie, which you
Okay.
probably saw, but Spielberg and his buddy George Lucas both had new movies coming out in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas's was a little movie called Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas thought his ramshackle space movie wouldn't make it back its budget, and he knew his friend's new movie would break box office records like Jaws had before, so he offered Spielberg a friendly wager.
Mm.
Both agreed to give the other 2.5% of the profits of their
No
respective
way.
films.
I didn't read this. That's crazy.
Lucas grossly underestimated his movie, which went on to become the second highest grossing movie of all time. Adjusted for inflation, the difference ended up being $40 million. So that's what he gave to Spielberg off of a
I
bet.
doubt Spielberg still gets residuals from Star Wars though, right? Like it
Right.
wasn't like I will give you 2.5% of what it makes total. Maybe it was
Oh,
like its first run or something. Just imagine, as if Spielberg needs more money, but what if he was getting Star Wars residuals? That would be amazing.
totally, dude. And he does harken back to it in E.T., right? Boba
Yep.
Fett. And
Oh yeah.
so, I mean,
And
they're,
Yoda,
yeah.
hmm,
And,
is in ET.
oh, right. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And John Williams is in E.T.
That's true.
Okay, so awards and achievements. This did win 2 Academy Awards:
Hmm.
Special Achievement in Sound Editing and Cinematography, and it was nominated for Director, Supporting Actress for Melinda Dillon,
Okay.
who played Jillian.
Hmm.
Also, she starred in
She's my favorite.
Christmas.
She's
Oh,
my
okay.
favorite mom.
So, Mom from Christmas Story.
Mom from Christmas Story, mom from Harry and the Hendersons, and
Yes.
mom from Close Encounters. Perfect
Mm,
mom.
perfect mom. Wow.
Yep.
And also another perfect mom, Terry Garr.
Hmm.
Perfect mom from
That's who we
Mr.
were trying to
Mom.
figure out who Julie reminded you of, right?
Yeah.
Terry Garr.
But Julie's in this too, right? Is there
Yes.
anything to like that you watched this with Julie and she wanted to like be like Terry
I
Garr?
don't know. Maybe it was some sort of like subconscious influence on her. I don't know. Terry Garr is so good in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I can't wait to talk about that and the whole family dynamic.
Yeah.
But Melinda Dillon was nominated for supporting actress.
Mm,
Didn't win.
okay.
Art, set, decoration, sound, film editing, visual effects, score, and lots of BAFTAs as well. The movie that swept the two movies were Star Wars, won all of those, including John Williams.
Right.
So John Williams was nominated for 2 Academy Awards in 1 year, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. I don't think that's
Uh,
the only time that happened. I think that happened Jurassic Park and partnered
Schindler.
a Schindler's List. Yeah.
I think you're right. It's
Wow.
just wild.
Hmm.
Annie Hall was the other movie that swept that year.
Oh, right. Yep.
And Richard Dreyfuss won for Goodbye Girl, Best Actor.
I didn't know that. I don't even
I
know that movie at all.
I don't either.
What the heck is Goodbye Girl?
I don't know. This is according to Google. I hope it's right.
I'm looking that up.
So he won an Academy Award that year, not for this movie.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
I've never even seen this poster, and I worked at Blockbuster Video.
Ooh, I have one other poster from this year that I'm curious if you knew.
Okay.
Other movies released around this time: Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, Smokey and the Bandit. Third highest grossing was Close Encounters. Saturday
Okay.
Night Fever, A Bridge Too Far, The Deep, The Spy Who Loved Me, and then a bunch of movies I'd never heard of. There was Annie Hall there, and then a movie called Oh God!
Oh yeah,
Exclamation point.
that's with George Burns, right? He plays God.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I've never seen it, but I know of it.
it also stars Terry Garr
Okay.
and John Denver. Is
Put
the main
put it on the queue. Put it in
I
the
know.
queue. We gotta watch.
I
Oh God.
I watched the trailer. It's like 70s starring John Denver about meeting
Huh.
God with Terry Garr.
Okay.
It's like I love learning. I was just like, what the heck? Okay, a
Well,
couple other quick ones
I
about
want to watch it.
Okay. All right, a couple other quick ones about this. Rotten Tomatoes, 90% audience, or 90% critic, 85% audience. Directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Steven Spielberg.
When
This
he was
was
like 29 or something. I kept saying to Jessica when we were watching it last week, he was in his 20s when he wrote this movie.
Jeez.
For some reason, that impressed me more than that he was directing it. For some reason, like he thought this up, and he wrote this, and there's the dialogue is never mind. Okay, let's keep going. We gotta get to the trial.
Well, I think Aaron and my main stricken is because he was in his 20s.
Okay,
And
that's
I'm
really
wondering.
interesting because I have changed my view on that over the years.
Okay.
Because that would be, I think what you're talking about is what would be Steven Spielberg's main stricken of the movie also.
Yes.
What I've read.
So Aaron was like, and I felt this exact same way.
Yep.
Which was my only stricken in this movie is why would he just leave his family and set them, like completely ditch them, not set them up for being taken care of? I think that's messed up.
So I'll just say right now, that's a massive stricken that probably may get this out of Locutus of Borg's hands. I
Okay.
think that people might strike this movie for that.
That's what
It's
Aaron
so
felt.
huge that Spielberg himself said if I were to remake this movie now, there's absolutely no freaking way he would have gotten on that ship.
Huh.
Wow. I think it makes for a much more interesting ending and complicated. I feel complicated about it, and I think I like that he made it in his 20s so that I can feel that way about it.
Nice.
There is this shot, speaking of Spielberg face, which we might talk about a lot in this.
Yep.
Of his 12-year-old son watching him go crazy and crying. And I'm like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Feels so real.
Yeah.
And so I get it. And I was thinking, should I strike it? And I don't think I'm going to strike it. So, because I think it makes for a very interesting movie, it makes me think, I think the aliens just don't get it. They don't understand family, I guess. Because they're nice, but I don't think they understand if we kidnap this kid, it's going to be upsetting. Or if we take a dad, it's going to be bad.
Right. Well, okay, so the way Aaron's fix is just a line because I love that he goes crazy. I love all that. We're going to get into all that.
Yep.
Aaron just wants, and I totally agreed with her, that there should just be a line be like, government, will you be sure to take care of my family?
That would have been nice. You're right. Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Just,
I'll take a addition.
Yeah.
I don't know that I strike him getting on, but that ad, tell Aaron I like that ad. That's good.
Okay. That's it for that.
Okay.
This was Steven Spielberg and Michael Kahn's first collaboration as an editor. And remember Marsha Lucas, she won for editing the
that's right.
Star Wars this year.
Yep. Well deserved.
So,
we talked about that a lot.
Yeah. And then Michael Kahn edited every single one of Spielberg's movies to this day, starting then, which
incredible.
I think is Pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Couple other things real quick. Top's album that was recorded this year, Asia by Steely Dan.
Ooh, recently featured on What's Giving Us Life on the
Yep.
Two Gomers podcast. Yeah,
I
great
mean, like,
album.
come on, dude. Like, I mean, that was
A lot
coming
of
out.
that, a lot of the episode is going to be that noise.
They were recording, and this same year, Roots comes out. Elvis, Charlie Chaplin, Bing Crosby died. V'ger launches.
V'ger.
Enterprise shuttle launches.
Wow.
Just the Apple II. Carter was president. What a time. I don't know.
Make America great again.
bring Carter back. He's still here in
Yeah.
Georgia.
Oh man, launch V'ger again.
Launch V'ger. Let's follow that.
When you were reading the movies, and I'm about to read the back of the Blu-ray because of this, because I do wonder, have many of our listeners seen this movie? When you're reading those movies, there are quite a few where I know Smokey and the Bandit is, I know the name of that movie. I know that it's a
Right.
big deal, but I've never seen that movie.
Me neither. I haven't seen any of these.
I've never seen, oh God.
Right.
I mean, well, I should have seen it, right? Apparently, because it has John Denver in it. But I'm wondering if 77 was a long time ago.
Yeah.
This isn't Star Wars we're talking about.
Right.
This isn't Jurassic Park we're talking about. This isn't Jaws, right? This is a
Right.
lesser, even though it's number 3 in the box office, I do think this is a lesser seen movie. And so that's why it's important probably for me to name that and also read the back of the Blu-ray.
Great.
It's a pretty good description. Okay. Let's see. And it's also tiny. Richard Dreyfuss stars as cable worker Roy Neary, who, along with several other stunned bystanders, experience a close encounter of the first kind, witnessing UFOs soaring across the sky. After this life-changing event, the inexplicable vision of a strange mountain-like formation haunts him. He becomes obsessed with discovering what it represents, much to the dismay of his wife and family. Meanwhile, bizarre occurrences are happening around the world. Government agents have close encounters of the second kind, discovering physical evidence of extraterrestrial visitors in the form of a lost fighter aircraft from World War II and a stranded military ship that disappeared decades early only to suddenly reappear in unusual places. Roy continues to chase his vision to a remote area where he and the agents follow the clues that have drawn them to reach a site where they will have a close encounter of the third kind, Contact. Ooh, Contact. Great movie.
Love it.
That's basically it. What they just said. This is no Indiana Jones, right? This isn't high action, high plot.
Right.
This movie is a vision and a little piece of music is implanted telepathically in random people. And the aliens want to have a relationship with for some reason, right? And then the movie is those people dealing with that. And then for half an hour, they look at a spaceship and that's the end.
Right. Spielberg face. Some pretty outdated, but still amazing looking graphics.
I think they hold up so incredibly well.
Do you think they hold up? Because I was listening to something where they were saying that they thought that this holds up better than E.T. Do you think that's true?
I wouldn't say E.T., but I would say other movies from that era for sure. I mean,
oh, definitely, yeah.
I'm always actually surprised that they've doctored up Star Wars stuff, right? Lucas is like, I wasn't satisfied with it. And obviously Steven Spielberg did that same thing with E.T. where he took the gun out of the guy's hand or whatever. He's never touched the special effects in this movie, and I think they feel absolutely tangible and real.
Well, and so much was practical.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you watch those things like the camera going down the chute or just lights behind a grated window shade.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, just a super bright light behind a door that has a crack in it.
Yep.
And you're like, the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, let's put Close Encounters of the Third Kind on trial.
All right, let's do it. All right, let's clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap. There were a couple times in there where you just totally disappeared. So I'm
Oh,
hoping we're like pretty in sync.
yeah.
But right there will be a good sync point.
Okay, great. Good. I'm glad we did
But
that.
yeah, so I'm super glad.
Yep.
All right.
All rise.
Hey, how's it going over there? Hey, how's it going?
What if you had 5 different La Croix cans?
Ding, 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 ding,
Oh,
ding.
you cracked them all.
Yeah. You're like, this means something.
This movie does mean something to me. So let's get to the trial. This is how it works. Every week we pick a movie that we love and we talk through it. We act as its. Now, here's something I'm wondering lately. Are we its defense counsel or its prosecutors? I
talked
say
about that
this
with
movie
Chad.
is perfect.
Yeah. I think that's defense counsel. So
Okay.
we'd be, if somebody sent us a movie, then we'd be the prosecutors, right?
I
Like
don't
they were
know.
like, hey, like if some, like we'd be right. I
We're
don't know.
defending, yeah, we are defending this movie, I think, as perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll buy that. Okay. So we're defense counsel. We present evidence and we attempt to prove to you, the listener, and also to one another that the movie is not only good, it's perfect. And when we're done, I get a vote, yay or nay. Anthony gets a vote, yay or nay. Our listeners get a vote, yay or nay, if 75% of you all vote yay. That's a yes. 3 yeses equals perfect. We send it up to Locutus of Borg, who I think would say, hey, aliens can be good.
Yeah. Oh, this is an important one for Locutus, dude.
Yeah. Now, they might not understand that kidnapping a 3-year-old boy would upset his mother, but
True.
other than that, they seem okay.
Well, and the boy is like has a great time and put
Oh,
back and brought back totally happy. So
he'll have some great memories, this kid. He
got
probably actually might have, we don't know what that mothership was doing, but he might actually have gained a couple weeks of life, depending on how
mm-hmm.
fast the ship was going.
Yep, absolutely. And he
So,
has that cute, he's just so cute.
so cute.
He's from about 15, 20 miles from here, Douglasville, Georgia, just outside of
Seriously.
Atlanta.
Wow.
I saw an interview with him and he was at a daycare with casting directors.
Huh.
Somehow the casting director, either their kid or like their sister's kid,
Mm-hmm.
saw him at the daycare and was like, "That's the boy for my for Spielberg's movie."
Like what's his face from Terminator 2 was
Mm,
just kicking around in LA and they hired him.
there you go.
Um, okay. I had 10 pages of notes and I've named 3 things.
Okay, well, do you want to go through those?
Yeah, why not?
Right,
Not the 10 pages of notes, no.
right.
Um, and I'm wondering what order to do them in, but I just got to pull off the Band-Aid and get started. So I'm
Great.
gonna present my first evidence, which is, I guess I'll start with this, is the iconography of this movie.
Okay.
I think cannot be beat. And you were talking, why were we talking about this on a recent episode about your 4 favorite shapes?
Oh,
Um,
I don't know.
oh, it was Batman. It was Batman because you were
Oh
talking
yeah,
about the Batmobile. Batmobile, Enterprise, Millennium Falcon, DeLorean.
DeLorean. Yep.
Um, I love those shapes, bro, but there is no shape that I love more
Mm,
than Devil's Tower.
mm. Dude,
Um,
let me just throw one more in. We just
okay.
watched Twister,
Uh-huh.
like the original, to
Yeah.
get prepped for Twisters.
Yep.
Dude, that yellow truck that she has with Dorothy on the back,
Wow.
I didn't realize how epic of a shape that is, too.
When we watched Twister a couple weeks ago, I said, I think that's the coolest truck I've ever seen in my life. Why have I not,
Mm.
why haven't I been drawn this thing?
Yeah, I know. Like, where's that? Why hasn't that been in our like normal lexicon of shapes that we love
It's a shame that that truck gets destroyed pretty early in the
or
movie.
vehicle? Yeah, yeah. And then the red Ram, not as cool, but still pretty cool. But that
No,
yellow
yeah, that
with
yellow
Dorothy
truck
on the
is
back,
so awesome. Yeah. Great shape.
Yep.
Um, the I have I'm looking around my office right now. I think I've said
Mm.
this on the podcast before. I can see, so I put up my picture back here. It's
Yeah,
usually
I love
not
it.
here, but
Right.
this is a picture I bought for myself after I actually went and saw it in person, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I have
Mm.
a Mondo poster here
Oh yeah. Everybody
that
should
I
watch
look
this on
at.
YouTube.
So
Oh
the
yeah.
reason I love this is because the Devil's Tower is blocking out the stars in this poster.
Yeah, that's
So it's
so
like an
good.
8-bit version of the Close Encounters poster,
That's a
but the
great
Devil's Tower
logo.
shape is there. So I like that. I've got a
Yep.
postcard Cindy sent me, listener Cindy sent
Yep.
me. Um, Out in our library, we have like national park posters, those that are like
Mm. Yeah.
stylized,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
I love
Devil's
those.
Tower is one of them.
Yep.
Um, I I don't know, bro. I think that this movie is about a lot of things, but one of them is just obsession with a shape.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
because he
I think
draws it
that,
over and over.
yeah, he draws
Yeah.
it over and over. He can't stop. We are kind of, you and I are kind of weird like this, where we have visuals and images in our mind that we think about all the time. I can just
Yeah.
talk for myself, but I also know it's true about you, right? Like
Oh yeah.
there are certain shapes, certain textures, certain sounds that just stick with you. And I just haven't seen a movie ever that explains that so well.
Mm.
And so there's just a part of my 7-year-old brain that attached to that and thought shapes mean something. And I
Mm.
wonder what they mean. I wonder why I'm thinking about this right now. I wonder if something is trying to communicate with me. This is for me a very deeply religious movie
Mm. Yeah.
where I had to in my life, I had to figure out why I have things deeply ingrained in me.
Mm.
And Spielberg talks about his faith all the time. And he part of his movie making is figuring that out.
Yeah.
And I see that definitely in this movie. So um I just think that there's iconography, right? There's the obsession with the shape, the mashed potato stuff, the pillow, what else? The shaving cream.
Yep.
Melinda Dillon is drawing, and then
Oh yeah.
he makes that massive model in his living room.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, wasn't that one of the scenes that was not in the original cut? Like when he takes apart the garden outside and brings all that dirt inside?
Oh no, I think that's
I-
in the theatrical cut.
Okay, maybe there was I saw something or heard something about how that was maybe extended
Mm-hmm. That
because
could
he
be.
goes
Yep.
crazy not only internally because the family sees him
And
just
that's the
really
Spielberg face moment with his 12-year-old, which is I think the most
yeah.
heartbreaking
Mm,
image in the movie is that kid is old enough to now be completely messed up by this. Right? He has two littler kids who
yep.
probably will be fine. But that 12-year-old is taking it in, crying, watching his dad go crazy, and I just think it's incredible. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's that. The shower scene, I guess, was not in the
okay,
original
all right,
for
right,
sure.
yep,
I think was that where he just. I mean, that's the most crazy he gets, and
yeah,
The kid walks in on him
mm-hmm,
there, right?
yep. And I think that in the theatrical version, it's played a little lighter. It's
Yeah.
played a little bit more comedic,
Mm-hmm.
which I do think it's funny, and I think those kids are funny. And
Dude,
it's very
we were laughing.
E.T.,
Yeah.
where he just
Like,
keeps in every weird thing they say.
well, and like, I mean, there's just the older, the second youngest is
Uh-huh.
just taking a baby
Mm.
and just bashing it, breaking it, like ripping its limbs out. It's in the kid's in the little, you know, playpen thing that's way
Uh-huh.
too big for that. And he's got his little sister's dolls. He's breaking it. He's totally like The kids are going crazy in this movie, dude.
And they're just allowed to. And I think it's so good. That girl goes, "There's a dead fly in my potatoes,"
Yeah.
in the mashed potatoes scene.
Right. That's
Leave it
probably
in.
just some the kid said, right?
She just said it. I love that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I feel like the production design of all that family stuff is so amazing and totally depressing
yep, I
and
agree.
probably real. Like the house is an absolute mess.
Yep.
What is going on? Like,
They're just they're just a messy family, I
yeah,
think.
like super right.
And he's a weird guy, I think.
Hmm.
And Spielberg talks about how he's him,
Hmm.
how Dreyfuss is Spielberg in this movie. He
Hmm.
likes toys. He likes Pinocchio. He
Right.
likes something else that I'll chunk in on a little bit. But
Okay.
that because he's like that, and then it is random because he happens to have the first encounter, but that's why this movie works for a character like that, because he's willing to say, what's going on with me? I'm going to figure it out, and I'm not going to uh just push it away,
Hmm.
right? Because he's a little bit childlike, and that really works in this movie, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he sees that for the first time. I mean, that perfect scene that is actually pretty terrifying when he's in his truck
Mm-hmm.
and everything goes crazy and the
Mm-hmm.
dials go crazy and the lights go crazy.
Yep. Obviously they're turning the car upside down. That's the way the special effect is working,
Oh,
right? Like,
okay.
so
Yeah.
they've got it on some sort of rig, and they've just got the camera set in there, and then they're
Uh-huh.
just flipping the car over so the gravity is going around, and
Yeah.
it's the perfect special effect. There's nothing's floating in there.
Yep. Right.
It's the physics is working the way it works. Thank God there was no CGI when this movie was made,
Oh, yep.
because they had to work around it and make things work, and it works. Um,
Yep.
so just the shape of it. Um,
Mm.
I guess I'll
Perfect
tell
shape.
my story now of when I went to see it, because I don't know if you're going to believe me when I say this, but I didn't know it was real
Hmm.
when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's like a place made up for a movie,
exactly, I thought
maybe.
it was and it doesn't help that sometimes when the ship is coming over it, it is a model, right? And so you can tell that it's a model.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just thought, this thing that's been in my mind, I didn't know it was real until college. I thought it was
Okay.
fake.
Sure.
And
That
then
makes
I
sense.
had I had a friend who was like, "No, I live right near that. That's
Oh,
real." It's as if you had told me the spaceship was real.
yeah.
Like, no, that happened.
Right. I know I've seen it, dude. At
Right.
the Smithsonian. No. Actually, it is there, the model of it.
Oh, is it?
Air and Space, the model of the spaceship.
Oh, really? Oh man. I don't think that's it. Is that in DC?
Yes.
Okay. I would love to see that.
Hmm.
So my second sabbatical was 2000, it was right after Trump was elected. I don't know why you think I always think of it in that case. Like, when
Okay.
that was 2016. Oh
Yeah.
boy. Anyways, so I
Yeah.
was upset probably. And so I decided
Yeah.
I went on this week-long um trip out west by myself.
Yeah. Was it like a guided retreat, sort of like you had things to
My
do?
thing was I wanted to see Devil's Tower. That was it.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I mapped out from Flagstaff up to, is it in South Dakota or North Dakota? Why can't I think of it right now?
Is it in Wyoming?
Oh, it's in Wyoming. You're right. It's in
I think it's
Wyoming.
in Wyoming.
I'm just thinking about those four heads. What are those four heads called?
Oh,
Mount Rushmore. I also saw
Mount
that.
Rushmore. Yeah.
Yep. Um, so I mapped out a trip in my car up through a bunch of national parks on the way to Wyoming to see Devil's Tower. And then I came back through some more national parks, including Mount Rushmore. Um, but the goal was to see Devil's Tower, and I was going through some stuff. I don't know how
Yep.
much to share.
I,
I was
I
going
I
through
love I love hearing all of it, but
I was going through some doubts about whether God loved me anymore.
yeah, right. I remember.
you're in your 30s and stuff happens, and I I believe, certainly have always believed deeply in God, but I didn't believe that he liked me.
Mm.
Um, so I took this trip just kind of on a whim. I was like, Jessica and I just, she took a week-long retreat. I took one. Um,
Yep.
and there's no way I can explain it on a podcast, but it was a moment when I saw it where I felt seen by God. Like, I remember looking at it like, man, is this dumb? Like, why is this so important to me?
Hmm.
It's weird. I just wanted to see this thing. I've always wanted to see this thing. And so I spent all this money and time coming up to see this thing. And I felt like God said, I I was with you then. Yeah, that's fine if you're a weird little kid. You're unique, and I wanted you to see this too. It was
Yeah.
incredible. And so I spent the entire day there from sunup to sundown, walking around, taking pictures, putting up like a little tripod and trying to take the same picture of the shot where Dreyfus is standing there with one leg up, looking at it. I have that picture. Maybe I'll post it somewhere.
Nice.
I walked around it probably 20 times, bro,
Mm.
and just spent time with God, allowed the healing happened.
Mm.
And since then, there's a practice I've learned in centering prayer, which is when I'm feeling anxious, you go to a place where you felt closest to God.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so I go to Devil's Tower, where I
Unreal.
felt so close to him, and my anxiety lessens.
Mm.
And so I just sit there. Even when I'm in my office, I'll look at this picture behind me. Pictures are windows. That's a very ancient religious thing, but
Yeah.
they are. And I remember this thing. And so
Mm.
I thought this movie was important to me before.
Hmm.
And so then when I saw the thing, and it is so weird. You've been there, right? You've been to Devil's Tower.
Yeah. Actually, here, let me I'm gonna send you this picture I found of me and Aaron.
Okay.
So we drove out there in 2000, when is it? 2008? Yeah, June 30th, 2008.
Okay.
We drove out there.
Yeah, so you saw it 7 years before I did, 8 years before I did. Was it just like you were on a trip together, or why did you go?
Oh, here's a great picture too. Let me send you this. Um, let's see, it was the summer before we moved to Tampa,
Okay.
and we have friends that now live in Bend that we saw this summer. Um, okay, so we were in a small group in New York at our
Mm-hmm.
church.
Yep.
They moved to Boulder, Colorado,
Okay.
and we moved to St. or no, to Miami. Then we when I got the Florida Orchestra job that summer, we had the summer off, and we just decided to take a vacation out west. So
Uh-huh.
we went to see them in Boulder. Went like rafting and stuff like that, and then we
Sure.
drove the Devil's Tower just to see it, just like you,
Yep. Yeah.
and then to Mount Rushmore. It's like the next picture on my thing.
It's pretty close. Those two things are pretty close to one
Are they
another.
pretty close?
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I think the absolute stunner in this picture is your hair.
Oh yeah, look at those bangs.
I just sent you the picture of me
Okay, hold on.
that I had to stage.
Oh man, hold on. Let me see, Steven. Oh my gosh, that is unreal, dude.
So
Wow.
it's weird because the Devil's Tower
I like
didn't.
your hair in this too, dude.
Oh yeah, it's short. It's
I I
a little too short.
I like that Steven hair though, the like flat top.
Yeah. Some
It's
people like it,
cool.
some people don't. Flat top. It's like the Devil's Tower itself.
Dude, your head
That's
looks
my
like
head.
the Devil's Tower, dude.
That is weird. I've never noticed that before in this picture. My head looks exactly like Devil's Tower.
It's your favorite shape.
I know it's so weird because it didn't rise out of the ground. The ground like
Yeah.
deteriorated around it. And so you're driving through this like plains. It's just flat. And then all of a sudden there's
Totally.
this pillar that's just sticking out of the ground. It's a volcano that didn't erupt all the way out, and then the volcano went away,
Incredible.
deteriorate out of the way. It's just this completely, absolutely unique. And you know why they picked it then for this movie, because it looks alien.
Yeah, I mean it's in the middle of nowhere and
Right,
just you've seen that picture where it like some believe that it was the trunk of a humongous tree
right. Yep.
and there are all these like roots underneath it. Have you
Mm-hmm.
seen that?
Yep, I've seen
And
that. And
people
then
believe that.
yep, and then I think I can't remember which tribe it is, but the native tribe, I think it's called bear, something with bear, because it looks like a bear has clawed the sides of it.
Oh. Huh.
Um, so it's a really, there's nothing like this in the world on Earth.
I
And
mean, you can stare at it forever. Like, why are there those just long columns? Like
yeah,
it
it, it
it's
it's so weird. And when you see it from the top, they're like hexagons.
did you right. You didn't go there, did you? Like to the top?
No, climbers will go up there. There's no way I would be able to do that. You have to be like a professional climber. But they have like a little museum next to it that
Right.
shows a model of it, and you can see it from the top, and it talks about all that stuff. Um, it I think the point is this movie is about a pilgrimage
Yep.
to
Hmm.
um to 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 be fulfilled somehow. Something is calling you. Something is
Yeah.
unfulfilled. There's a longing in you. And I thought, what if I did that? And because I am who I am, it was the same for me. I didn't have to have a spaceship there,
Yeah.
but it worked.
Mm.
Like I met like the supernatural when I was there.
Yeah.
And it's because of a movie from 1977 that hardly anybody would know what I was talking about if I told them right now. But it happened.
That there's something about that place. I mean, I agree. When we looked at it, it was we didn't have that sort of transcendent experience.
Sure.
Uh, but I have had that transcendent experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the mountains.
Right. Yep.
Uh, and that's what you and I talked about, like having that called it a totem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I don't know if that's originally from Inception or if that's probably way before that, but
Sure.
this tangible place or moment in time. I mean, I even like thinking of a totem as like even a moment in time, like uh, that you can visit, that you can meditate on.
Yep. That's what that is for sure.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of thinking about Arrival also.
So Arrival does this in a similar way, but with time. I was thinking about
Yeah.
Interstellar also,
Yeah.
where this idea of specifically alien life
Mm-hmm.
calling
Yeah.
you to them.
Yeah.
Um, and uh it's not a it's it, I don't know if it Spielberg thought of it, but
Yeah.
it's been Arrival's a great example, I think, of it. It just has Close Encounters. It would not exist if Close Encounters wasn't made.
Oh no. Well, but what I'm thinking about with Arrival, and maybe we talked about it on that episode, is that there is something about something from above coming all the way down,
Hmm.
but then you just have to reach up a little bit.
Yep, it's not
Like,
quite down.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I love
it's
that.
like the final. So I feel like, I mean, that's not exactly the gospel, but the idea that God came down, but you still have to extend your hand up
Uh-huh.
just a little bit.
Yep, that's amazing.
And I think that's what Arrival feels like. And I think,
Hmm.
I mean, my thought on this, like my big theme of this movie was that Spielberg, whether he meant it or not, and I think he did on some level, was saying there's something up or out there
Yep.
and it's good.
Yes. And I do think that was unusual with
Yeah.
alien encounter movie that it was good.
Yeah.
Here I'm just gonna chunk in now because
Okay.
so the way that Spielberg himself talks about it is wonder.
Wonder. Okay. Yeah.
That this movie's about wonder. And he tells the story of his dad waking him up in the middle of the night one night to go watch a meteor
Oh,
shower.
yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah.
And the phrase he used in this was he was romanced by the sky in that moment.
Mm,
And
wow.
so he was like, what I'm experiencing right now isn't fear, it's wonder. And I'm marveling right now at the fact that there's probably something else out there and it's good. Just like you just said, bro. Like,
Mm.
and this this thing about like I'm going to have to make some effort to encounter it. So this movie is because it's pilgrimage, you have to the ship is just close enough so that you have to make a pilgrimage to get there,
Dude, I
right?
think that's like, yes. I mean, that, like, you have to do something in order
Mm-hmm.
to encounter this
Yep.
goodness.
Yep,
It's
definitely.
not gonna just hit you over the head and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the first the maybe the third kind is like you actually have to participate. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That there's actual it, it just doesn't it's not forced upon you, even though it sort of is sometimes in this movie.
Yeah.
But the I think the more beautiful parts of this movie are not when it's forced upon a person. It's the calling. It's come. I've implanted this in your brain. I've said hello. All you have to do is make this trek and we can meet.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think the aliens know how hard that is going to be for people. I think that they're thinking, here's where we're going to be. Come meet us.
Right. They're like, "What?" It's like, "Go over there, dude." It's almost like they have a simpler, cleaner, easier time getting around or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what, dude? By the way, just on the this last viewing, because Aaron and I, it was our anniversary,
Oh,
and
right. And you saw it in
uh,
the theater, right?
yeah, so we were like, we want to go to a movie. That'd be fun, because we're doing this Whole30 thing, so we're not really doing a whole lot of fun.
Right.
Like, um, and uh, and we're like, well, let's see what's at the movies, and we're like, tonight and tonight only is Close Encounters of the Third
That's
Kind.
incredible. Yeah,
Like,
I
what
don't
the
remember
heck?
if you texted me that you were going or a picture of you there or what, but I was like, are you kidding me?
I don't know how that came from above.
Yeah.
We were called um, from the app Flickster
Yep,
called
exactly.
Fandango.
This is important.
Yeah, but I thought, dude, until that screening, that they went to the top of Devil's Tower. I
Oh,
didn't know. I
huh.
had totally forgotten that it's on the side.
Right.
I've watched this movie way fewer times.
Sure, of course.
Um,
I bet a lot of people probably do think that.
I thought it was on the side, or sorry, on top.
Right.
So
Yep.
then I was like, how are you going to get up there? Because I do remember standing by that, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't remember there being, but I thought maybe there was you had a way up. Like
Right. Yep.
maybe there was a guide.
An elevator or
Um,
something.
I wonder if this is a hard climb.
I think it is.
Like, I mean, we just watched Free Solo again.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Like, I was wondering, this looks like it has more texture. I mean, dude, not for people like us. Okay, impossible for me.
Sure.
But like, this is deeply technical climb.
Right.
But for that dude, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just wondering. I can't remember his name because he does the sheer granite faces. This looks like at least it probably has some nice texture to it.
Yeah, there might be some handholds or something like that. I guess it's not uncommon to see people climbing up it, but I didn't see anybody when I was there.
All right, yeah, I'll see there.
Yeah. I like it even when they do see it on the map, you see that it's Devil's Tower and then the X is like a little bit farther to the right. So
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yep, you're
the
right.
aliens have chosen that totem, right?
Hmm.
Uh that place where they're going to implant it in people's minds. But they know we probably can't land on top. Let's go a little bit to the side.
That was smart.
Very smart.
That
Thanks,
was smart.
guys. So I think that that evidence is that you can really feel the wonder, and
Mhm.
every character is kind of like drawn somehow to
Yeah.
this. And I think that the scariest scene, which is when Barry gets abducted,
Yeah.
even he is kind of like, okay,
And no, he's up for it. Yeah, he's never scared really. Does
nope.
he? He doesn't. Did you hear that, like, kind of how he was able to get those faces, those Spielberg faces?
I read something about is this true that he dressed up as a clown or something? Did you read this one or
Yes,
not?
I read this one. Actually, I think I was watching some of those extras, and it was saying that
Okay.
the way he got the Spielberg Wonder face was he opened up a present,
Oh, right.
like he wrapped a present, or
Uh-huh.
they
I
had a
read that.
present wrapped, and he opened it in front of him. That's
Yep.
like the original YouTube like unboxing video.
Hmm.
Um, and so, but then yeah, I guess they had the makeup artist was dressed up as a gorilla, and then
Okay.
somebody else was dressed up as a clown, and they were like
So
running
I
around
wonder if
doing
that's
stuff.
the scene where he's kind of like you're hearing them messing around in the kitchen, but you're just seeing his face, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he looks actually kind of scared at first.
Uh-huh.
And then pretty quickly he changes to wonder and smiling and laughing. So I wonder if it was like gorilla
Okay, so
and
I
then like
think
it's just me or something like that. I don't know.
he said, so what they said was that he took the gorilla mask off, and it was the makeup artist that he knew, and he was like, "Oh, hey."
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense with that scene. Ah, it's so good.
but it's so basic, you know?
There's no special effects in that scene. It is all
Mm,
acting. It's all directing. It's where you're putting the camera. It's getting what you want to out of a director. Sorry, out of an actor. I don't think there's even any music there.
nah, I
Um,
don't think so.
and we should get to the music at some point.
Yeah.
I have one more. Can I just chunk in one
Yeah,
more?
let's do it.
My third one, which it has to do more with craft.
Okay.
Um, because I do think that uh it might be easy to watch this movie and say, young Spielberg, it's all vibe. Um, that half an hour at the end is like just all visual, long scene. But I do think that you can see what is going to be Spielberg in the future already in this movie.
Mm,
Um, and so two things that I point to are the scene when the the uh the jet flyer, the what do you call them? The pilots are
yeah.
radioing into those army dudes.
Yep.
And so you don't see anything, you just see blips. And all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
guys are crowded around the screen, all of them talking at once.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just what Spielberg's going to do for the next 20 years, right?
Mm,
Is somehow make people crowded around computer screens compelling.
mm, mm-hmm.
Like, is there anything more
That's
compelling than Dennis Nedry and Samuel L. Jackson
yeah.
and crowded around a computer screen in Jurassic Park is
Yeah.
just as compelling,
Yep.
I think, as
Absolutely.
anything else.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, like, or like when they get in there and she's like, "It's a Unix system. I know this." Right? It's like the
Right.
same camera shot basically. Yep, totally.
Yep. With slightly better graphics on the computer.
Yeah, it's on, but you're right. Like the kernel of storytelling, his voice
Hmm.
is all there.
Yep. Um, and then my favorite sequence of the movie, I think, well, I think my favorite sequence is the last 30 minutes. But what
Yeah.
can you say about that? It's it's just beautiful special effects and people looking in wonder.
Yep.
And every face is so unique and different and um normal for some reason. He's still casting people that look normal.
Yeah.
Eventually he gets to cast Tom Cruise becomes his guy, and I love the Spielberg Tom Cruise movies, but Tom Cruise doesn't look normal.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about that too with the Twister and Twisters.
Uh-huh.
It's like
Totally, dude.
Bill Pullman versus this
Paxton.
sorry, oh yeah, Bill Pullman also rocks.
Right.
And is also kind of more like an everyman.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton though versus what's
Glenn.
Glenn.
Glenn Powell, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, come on, dude. What? Like that dude is just like a storm chaser. Not that a storm chaser wouldn't be incredible, movie star, good looking, but
I
that
don't know
is a
that
difference.
anybody looks like that
Yeah.
guy.
No.
You know what I mean?
He looks so good that you're almost like you don't want him to get everything he wants because you're like, shut up. Like
That's why he works in Top Gun Maverick, right? Because
totally.
you immediately don't like him because he's more attractive than Tom Cruise.
Right. Like absolutely. So that's hilarious. I mean, it was kind of I just went to Fly Me to the Moon.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. How was that?
It was pretty fun.
Okay.
I'd say a lot of it I was kind of like, I didn't know this was a rom-com.
Oh,
I
okay.
just want some space stuff.
Right. Yep.
But then some stuff happened in it that is so funny
Uh-huh.
and so memorable
Okay.
that like I can't wait for somebody else to see it so I can talk about it.
Yeah, that wasn't on my list, but maybe I'll go see it.
There were parts of it that were great.
Okay. Yeah,
The
that's a good
concept
review.
was really great. And then I mean, you know me, like, so the reason I went is
Mhm.
because I know there's going to be great moon landing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. If it's about moon landing stuff, you're
Yeah.
gonna be there. Yeah.
But ScarJo, she
Uh-huh.
totally rocks.
Yeah.
But she's just gorgeous. And then
Nobody looks
Channing
like Scarlett
Tatum.
Johansson. I know those two. These are not regular people. That's why I love a Close Encounters or a Jaws.
Yes.
There are so many weird looking people in Jaws.
Yes, that was my point. Like the NASA,
Yeah.
the director of NASA doesn't look like Channing Tatum, dude. Like that makes zero sense, dude.
Like whatever movie Schwarzenegger is in where they don't mention how he looks
Yeah, I know.
is a
Totally.
stricken.
Well, and like Ray Romano's in it too, and then he's like perfect
Uh-huh.
because they have him be scruffy and he's
Mhm.
kind of funny, and
Right.
you're like, yeah, like I
That
probably
guy
couldn't-
looks like a NASA guy, right?
yeah, totally with the
Yep.
little short sleeve shirt and pocket protector. Yeah. So the point being exactly that. Like, there's a
Mhm.
lot of weird looking people in Jaws, not just weird, just normal.
Normal looking people and
Like
some
when you're on a
weird-looking
normal
people.
plane, people don't look like Lost.
No, exactly.
Lost
How
cast.
come the Lost cast was all on that plane?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
If I would gotten on that plane, I would have been like, something's not right here.
Yeah, I know. Are we gonna crash on a desert island and be filmed?
My
Totally.
favorite sequence, you ready for this? Where
Yep.
I think Spielberg just is kind of showing off but it doesn't seem like he's showing off, it just works, is when he starts stringing scenes together that are all over the world, but are all thematically connected. And so this sequence where it starts with India, they're in India and the just hundreds of people have seen the ship. And so
Yep.
the French guy, Francois Truffaut, right?
Oh, yeah,
Francois
which we haven't even
Truffaut.
talked about it at all.
Yeah, and
Big
Bob
deal guy.
Balaban, who I love, his translator,
Love.
who wasn't even he just is a map maker, right?
Yeah, but then he's in 2010, but he's also in Alien. No?
No, he's not an alien. He's in a lot of I've seen him in a lot of comedies and a lot of Christopher Guest stuff like
He's in
Mighty Wind,
Seinfeld.
and he's in Seinfeld. Yes, that's true.
But he was in 2010.
Okay. I've never seen it.
He's in it's not that good.
Okay.
But has scenes that I love.
So they're there in India. This huge group of people are singing the five tones
I love that.
in harmony.
So good.
Maybe my favorite. No, I like the clarinet at the end is the best,
yeah.
I think, five tones.
Oboe.
Is it oboe interrupted by tuba. I love those.
And contrabassoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's doubled in the contra.
Oh, hello. So it goes from that, and then they say, "Where did you hear this?" And they all point up, which is a very Spielberg thing.
So Spielberg, yeah.
Cut to them playing the five tones at that kind of like secret convention they're at.
Oh yeah, yep.
Where they're explaining it, right? And they're using the hand motions and they're using solfege and everything like that. Cut to Barry playing it on, oh no, sorry, it's not that yet. Cut to when they find Devil's Tower on the map and the globe, where they're like, that's a
Yeah.
$20,000 globe.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and that scene ends with, I think it's Francois Truffaut or it's Bob Balaban, I can't remember, listening to the tones. You have to listen to this. The tones are happening again on his
Mm.
headphones. Cut to Barry playing it on the xylophone.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets abducted. And that feels like one giant set piece to me.
Yeah.
And
It's so
that
good.
is when I said to Jessica, he was 29.
Mm.
How could this be? This
How do
was
you even
our age
think
when
of
we started our podcast. Remember what we were like?
that? I know, dude, for like totally.
It's a different 29. Um, but like,
Yeah, they're
I don't know.
yeah,
You can't compare yourself to Mozart and Spielberg. It doesn't make any sense. But
100%.
it doesn't mean I can't be so impressed
Mm.
that this isn't just a movie about vibe, right?
Right.
It's not just a feeling movie. He is also, you can see, this is why he's so young and he's getting nominated for Best Director already,
Yep.
because he knows how to piece a story together. And it makes, when Barry is playing it on the xylophone, there is just like some sort of thrill where you're like, I know that.
Yeah.
Does anybody else hear that? What I'm hearing right
Mm.
now? He's playing it on his play school
Yeah.
xylophone.
Mm.
It's
You're
like too good, and it kind of makes me mad, just like how Glenn Powell looks. That's what this movie does to me.
he's writing like Glenn Powell looks, or ScarJo.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, just imagine if ScarJo was the Melinda Dillon character. Not that Melinda Dillon isn't an amazing actress, absolutely gorgeous and all that, but it's just like
right.
in the 2020s, it's like the Marvel. Who's normal? Nobody's
Yeah.
normal.
And you were talking about their house too, right? Like,
Yeah, their
there's
house is
something about how messy that house is where you're like, okay, these are real people. All
right,
he is, he's a cable guy.
right.
I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
Dreyfus in Jaws at least is a marine biologist. In this movie, he's just a scruffy
yeah.
cable guy who plays with model trains.
Yep. A nerf herder. Just uh, yeah. I mean, there were some cool cutscenes. Let's talk a little bit about cutscenes.
Okay, great.
And then I'll drop in one chunk.
Okay.
Um, there were some. So I watched like 24 minutes of cutscenes,
Hmm.
and all of which are totally fine to be cut, I
Yeah,
think.
yep.
But I liked like there's like 3 scenes of him at work.
Yeah.
And there was some cool um I thought like establishing shot, just like my favorite establishing shots from the cutscenes from Night They Saved.
It's just the
Show
outside of a building.
Yeah, totally. Oh, they are in Alaska.
Well, other people must like it because it's our most watched video on YouTube.
I know, dude. Our most important contribution
My
to
legacy.
legacy. But but there were great establishing shots of him at work
Uh-huh.
that I really liked. Like, have you watched all that stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
So like
It-
I thought it was kind of cool to see, like, because all you ever see about his work is that he talks to somebody on the phone a couple times
right.
and he
Yep.
gets fired.
Hmm.
So I kind of like to see him at work. It kind of like develop the character.
Yeah.
But again, it's already 2 hours 18 minutes.
I always
I
kind of
like
like seeing people at work.
Yeah,
Is that
like
weird?
no, no,
I,
I love
I
that.
like seeing people at work.
Yeah, just
So I agree with you that those scenes didn't have to be in there, but on Saturday afternoon when you're watching cutscenes, they're
yeah.
fun.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, give me more.
Uh-huh.
Like I could watch 2 hours of cutscenes, just
Just
him
him
at
actually
work.
out on a job
Yeah.
fixing somebody's electricity.
Well, because remember, so he gets that like little mini promotion. You're gonna and that one guy's like,
Yep.
"Hey, why does he get that?"
He just kind of
Um,
knows what he's talking about in that moment. And so
yeah,
he's
he
given
seems
that role. Yep. You just got a promotion.
yeah, he's like smart, and then he goes out on the
Mhm.
field and he has authority, and then he sends that other guy to do that job,
Yep.
and then you kind of know why he's out there driving.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, the Cotopaxi ship scene,
Hmm.
I think that's actually in the director's cut.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, in the last 2 years, I've kind of fallen in love with that brand, Cotopaxi.
It's
And
like
so it's
tell me, it's like a
it's like Patagonia.
right, yeah, it's a outdoors thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a real thrill just seeing that name. I was like, that's on my jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that even existed before this.
Yeah.
Um, but then the final scene, and this is what I want to know your take.
Yeah.
What do you think about, so for
You're
people
talking
that
about the
don't,
interior of the ship?
yeah. So for people
Yeah.
that don't know, he wanted to do, you already know this, but part of this podcast we are talking to some other people, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that he felt rushed and didn't feel like it was the cut he wanted.
Right.
So on your timeline, right, it's like in the early 1980s, they allowed him to go back and re-edit it and re-release it. But the only way that the Columbia Pictures would allow him to do that is if he added a scene that they had always wanted, which was he goes on the ship.
Right. And so Spielberg, my understanding is Spielberg didn't love that scene himself, right?
Right.
The inside of
Which
the
is
ship.
which is why in the director's cut that's gone, but all the other
Yeah.
stuff is in. But I'm
I think
curious what your take is.
I think it's fun as a bonus, but I don't like it in the movie.
Okay.
I like how the theatrical version ends, which is he gets in, it flies away, the end.
Agreed.
Um, uh, and so it's I think that was the right call. And then you get longer versions, and you're like, oh, it is one of those things where you're like, I wonder what the inside looks like. And then the inside does look cool.
Yeah, like I actually liked, so I watched that earlier this morning and I liked the shot
Hmm.
with all the like just windows with tons of like thousands of aliens in it.
Yeah.
I love that
It really
shot.
kind of expands your vision of what the whole thing is, right? Where there's a ton
Hmm.
of aliens in there. I like the aliens. I think probably that gets the biggest laugh
Yeah,
if you
it's
show it
yeah,
to
it's not
people
the
nowadays.
best like animatronic slash puppetry.
It's just kids in suits a lot
Right.
of the time on like they're kind of lifting them up in the air sometimes. It's like sped up a little bit. I
Yeah.
have a incredibly soft spot in my heart for those aliens.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yep.
And I like the big spindly one. I think that one's just the right amount of scary and creepy. And then I
Sure.
kind of like this teen or whatever that comes out
Yeah.
and does the hand motions very robotically.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like
So,
Disney World a little bit.
yes, it is very like the end of the ET ride.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, that alien obviously is a precursor to ET. He's got that long,
Oh, for sure.
elongated face, right? Um, I love those guys. These
Mm.
are my these are my guys. My fifth
I've got
favorite
Ed the
shape is
Elf.
these guys.
Yeah, right. It is cute. He's cute.
I read that they modeled the guys that are running around after Barry.
Oh, I could see that.
So they wanted them to kind of look like him, which I think is a fun idea. I think they look pretty bad, and so mostly it's intense backlighting, so you're
Hmm.
only seeing their silhouettes. But then sometimes they light the front of them, and you see their eyes, and it's just kind of like, oh
Yeah.
boy. But I love it. Um, do you want to talk about the music
Yeah,
before
yeah.
we're
Okay, so
done?
let me chunk in there. I just had
Okay,
that
great.
note from earlier, trying to be
Yeah,
more professional.
great job.
Uh, so we remembered, hey, there, that's for Jason. You don't
Mm,
need to mark that off as something we'll talk about later.
10 years from now.
Right. Okay, let me chunk in on this.
Okay,
Because this oftentimes when it's somebody's pick, the other guests will just bring in like one or two
sure. Yep.
evidences. I do think that the five notes are genius. I think the incorporation of music is so good.
Yeah.
So looks, sounds, feels, classic Anthony. I mean, I love the way this movie looks, sounds, feels. I mean,
But what do you think about how so the score is unusual, right? It's not like Star Wars. It's not like Indiana
oh,
Jones. It, it
totally.
it's it's almost I mean, it's not Hans Zimmer soundscape, but it's closer to soundscape, I think, than
Definitely.
There's Mickey Mousing, but mostly that's like blap.
Yeah, that one actually, that the first chord I don't like. That's one of the
Over the
like the
credits.
yo 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 bap. I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. I don't know
Interesting.
why.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, if folks haven't seen the movie, the opening credits are very interesting because it's silent. You almost think like, do I have the sound up?
yeah, I
And
love that.
then that kind of warble happens that you're talking
Hmm.
about. And
I
then
kind of
it's all
think,
black with white text, and then it absolute Broadway blaps
yeah,
into the first desert scene.
yeah. I think I don't know. I don't ever really like that blap. I got to be
Okay,
honest.
yeah, no, I mean,
Strike the blap.
if you need to strike the blap, strike the blap. That's my
Um,
motto.
but I just think the idea of like craft, like you said, like how
Hmm.
well crafted it is, and the thought that he was like, I want music to be an integral part. Like, not often is the score part of the plot
Right.
in a movie,
Yep.
and so he had to get with J Dub. Sorry,
W. I
different
was just
person.
thinking that another movie that where the score is part of the plot is another Richard Dreyfuss movie, Mr. Holland's Opus.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
But
And
I get your point on this one, which is that those five notes are so integral to the plot
mhm. So
that
the
it's
vehicle,
inseparable.
right? So the vehicle um in Arrival was language,
Hmm.
right? And then so the vehicle of this, the language of it is music.
Yep.
And I just,
And my theory is Interstellar is time. I think
yeah.
that that this one's a space music a space movie about music,
Mm,
language, Arrival, time, Interstellar.
mm. Like, this isn't a score that I listen to.
Me neither. In fact, when I had I didn't have good stuff, or what was it? What was your CD called
Oh,
that you
the
had?
right stuff. Oh, kid stuff.
Good stuff, that John Williams CD. But I did
Yeah.
have John Williams conducts the Boston Pops movie music, and one of
Yeah.
them was Close Encounters, and I would always skip it
Yep. It's
because
not my
it's
favorite.
not music. There's no melody until the very end of the piece that was on that CD at least was
Yep.
the closing credits basically, which is John Williams writing a song around the five notes finally,
Yeah.
right?
Because you can't really have it till then.
Uh-uh.
Just little snippets. But I think it's genius
Hmm.
how I just, it's once again collaboration that we just love. But I just love the idea that you know that they decided on five, not three, not seven.
Uh-huh.
um I was actually thinking, in that Smartless podcast, he was saying, when you wish upon a star is seven notes, um
Yeah.
which is quoted in this,
Uh-huh.
genius,
Uh,
and that's part of like
Yeah.
the nostalgia and like safety of this entity from above.
What do you think about that really clear quote of "When you wish upon a star"?
Love it.
After me too.
Love it.
I squirted
Amazing.
out a tear.
Yeah, dude.
What it's he's not even it is there's no subtlety in it.
No.
The whole orchestra is playing it,
Yep.
and then it resolves into
Oh,
just it kind of just calms, and then it goes dum bum bum. I
and
mean,
then the trumpet goes
it's so
dun da
incredible.
da bon, dun dun dun. Oh, it's so, yeah, da 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 do, da, da.
Yeah,
Like that. Oh my
it's
gosh.
a great I mean, the closing credits is my favorite piece of music, I think. And there's other
Yes.
like military ba 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 ba
Yeah.
ba ba, like he's doing that Indiana Jones kind of military stuff sometimes.
Yes.
But I think he wants you to completely focus on the five notes.
Yep.
And he's kind of getting out of his way, his own way, so
Yep.
that we can really leave remembering those.
Let's think. Dun 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 dee, dum dum. There's eight notes.
Hmm.
Harry Potter. Dun 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 dun. Eight.
Hmm.
Dum 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 da dum dum da dum. 9.
Bum 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 bum. That's 7. But then he resolves it.
Yep. No, no,
Bum
no. You're
bum
right.
bum. Yeah.
Okay, so da da da. Wait, so da 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 da. Wow, that's 14. Um. Okay, so so
When he talks about the 5 notes, he ends up really appreciating that he only had 5. When I hear him
oh
talking
yeah,
about it, is he had
absolutely.
like 1,000 different
Yeah, so
options.
he said in that thing like that they had 100 versions
Uh-huh.
that he and Spielberg went to the piano and kept going through, and he's like, we kept circling this one. This was, I wrote down the quote. He said we kept circling that one, so we were like, well, I guess that's all right. Like he and then
The
no, he said it
understatement.
seems. That's what he said. He said it seems fine. Is how they finally settled on it.
Uh,
Um, because it was probably frustrating in a way,
I
but
bet. Yeah, I bet that would have been. It does sound like when John Williams tells the story, it sounds like he was very frustrated at first.
yeah, that's because Will Arnett says, have you ever been like frustrated or intimidated by a project? And he said this
Okay. Yeah. Makes
to try to
sense.
come up with 5, which is funny because one of the notes is the same note, so it's actually really
I
only
was just
4
gonna say
notes.
he does drop an octave.
Mm-hmm.
I like that when they're talking to that keyboard player as if it's the first time he's ever heard the 5 notes,
You know,
right? Go up a perfect
go
second.
up a tone. Now go down a
Yep.
third. Now go down a full octave. Now go up a fifth. Um,
It,
but
it is sort of, I know this is gonna sound heretical. It is sort of like in National Treasure where he
oh
hits
yeah,
the E and the L twice.
yeah. I get that. It's a little bit of that. Yes, yeah,
So it is John Williams saying, okay, he told me 5 notes, but what if one of the notes is the same?
mm, yeah.
I just go
And he
down the octave. That's really thinking out of the box, J Dubs.
that's pretty genius, dude.
Yep.
He pressed the E and the L twice on this one.
Hmm.
Well, and then the thing that's genius about it is exactly back to the Bill Murray thing,
Hmm.
is that it ends in a question.
Yep.
So so
It shouldn't end on the perfect fifth. Is that what you're
right, it
saying?
should
Like,
end on the root.
right. And it
So it should
doesn't.
go ba 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 bum ba ba bum
Ba-bam.
bum bum.
Right.
You know, like it should end. So that's the answer. So it's a question. And
Mm-hmm.
that, dude, that's all the way back to Devil's Tower. That's all the way back to Arrival. A
Yep.
question is asked,
Hmm.
and then how are you going to answer the question?
The
How are you? I
movie,
I
the movie
stand
is
at
a
the door and
question.
knock.
Yes,
Right?
Spielberg wanted the movie to be a question.
Mm,
And you listener, you know I love that. I love not knowing everything. It makes me feel like the director and the writer trust me.
mm,
And in this case, the composer, right?
yeah.
John Williams trusts that it's okay that he's leaving us with a question.
Mm,
Thank you. I love it. That's why I love this movie.
yep.
And that's why I love talking about it because I think that um, it is hard to explain, but I can say some things, right? I can't say conclusively this is a perfect movie that everybody will love,
Yep.
but I can list those things that are reasons that I think it's perfect and I love it. I'm not
Yep.
quite sure what people will respond to. I'm very
Yeah.
curious. And so now it's up to you, nation. What do you think about Close Encounters? I'm wondering, especially if there are people that saw it for the first time, what do you think about Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Is it perfect or not? There's a lot of ways to vote, but the best way is to follow us on Instagram. That's instagram.com/twogomers. And our social media maestro, Lindsay, is going to put up a poll in the next couple days. Actually, really quick. This is a quick turnaround. So in a couple days, there's going to be a poll out for you to vote. Yes or no on Close Encounters. Thank you to our webmaster, Adam, Jason for our graphics, Davis for our music, Lindsay, our social media maestro. Next movie. Now, this one meant something. I'm not sure if our next movie means anything. We're going to do Napoleon Dynamite because
Yes.
school's starting. We want to do a comedy. 2000? Pretty rare that we would do a movie in the 2000s.
It is 2000. Really?
I think so. 2000, 2001.
Dude, I swear Aaron and I were married when this came out.
Okay, so it might even
I
be
thought it
later than
was
that.
I thought
Oh
it was
three.
4.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, it's a new movie we're doing,
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yep.
So if you haven't watched that in a while, I'll tell you what, it holds up. This is gonna be a
Mhm.
blast to do that one.
We haven't watched this one with the girls yet. Like I
Okay.
said, Ferris Bueller was a hit.
Uh-huh. I
Father of the Bride
wonder
we
what they
just
will
watched
think about
again.
this one. He is a total weirdo, and that's kind of the point of the movie, right? So if they
Yep.
like that, they'll love this.
Yep.
Um, any final thoughts about Close Encounters?
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
I do have some more thoughts, but I think we need to end it here. We've got a
Okay.
results show. We got to
That's
talk
true.
about some of the people that were supposed to be in it that were
Okay.
cast. We didn't talk about any of that.
Yep.
And yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Sweet.
How will you answer the call, dude?
Just
That's
take a
the
trip up
question.
to Devil's Tower and find out.
Got to take your pilgrimage.
Yep.
Follow that
I'm curious
those
about
5
that too.
notes.
Maybe I'll have Lindsay ask people that before the results show also. Like, what's a place that has you know what this story that I told is not just an important place to me, right? It is like the important place to me.
Yep.
I wonder if people have that kind of thing where they have
Hmm.
tons of pictures up in their house of that place.
Hmm.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm just a complete weirdo.
No, you're not, dude. I have a few places, and I'm sure
Yep,
families have a place as a
definitely.
family too. So, but
Yep,
this is uniquely simplified,
yep.
like for you,
Oh,
that place.
you know what I just thought of? Project Hail Mary, they use music. Alien communication is musical.
Yeah. Yes. Oh man, I can't wait for that, dude.
Yeah,
That was a
Gosling's attached.
yep, of course.
That's
I
awesome.
want Matt Damon, of course.
I know, but Ken, you can launch Ken up into space. It's fine with me.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Great app.
Super fun, man.
All right, bye everybody. Bye. Oh, and I was
Wait,
wait, what am I supposed to
you gotta
say?
say and
Okay,
happy
okay.
watching.
All right. Great app.
Super fun, man.
And happy watching Napoleon Dynamite.
Sweet. All right, let's stop that. 1, 2, 3, stop. Save. All right, I'm gonna go grab another La Croix, and then we'll do our next step.
Sweet.
Is that okay?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. And check it out, dude. I got my new wired headphones.
Yes. OG.
OG, dude.
All right,
I
I'm gonna
mean,
get a drink. I'll be
okay,
back.
be back.
No. The problem is that he comes in and then he wants to go back out. So he's like, let's take off. Feeling off on it a little bit. Oh, I never shut this off.